All right, welcome. Today I am going to be going over how to profit from the outdoors. My family is big campers, kayakers, bikers. I mean, we just love the outdoors. So that's kind of where I got this idea from, because I wanted to take my love for camping and all that and make money off of it. So you will be working with non-suppliers. Most of the campsites or campgrounds that I've encountered don't work with travel agents. I just kind of reach out and ask them if they do. So you will use instant commission, um, which would be like you can name it professional service fee, research fee, wholesale fee, whatever you want to call it. You do have to Google and find the campsites yourself, of course, since we don't have a list of suppliers. I do keep a list of the campsites that I have booked with or that I've looked at in a spreadsheet. And then you won't need the IATA number or Archer's info, obviously, because it is a non-supplier. So the instant commission, how it works is you either charge a fee at the beginning before you get the quote, or you add it on into the quote and invoice. So if you're doing the one before creating a quote, you have, your professional service fee, research fee, stuff like that. You can name it, and this will go on its own invoice or receipt, is how I do mine. And then if you're including it in the quote and invoice, you can name it the wholesale fee, admin fee, or anything like that. All right, so with mock booking, I will find the campsite, or base it off river location, something like that, and I will go and find the campsite, and I will go in, act like I'm booking it, get the information, and then I will go to Pixabay or Canva. If they don't let me use their photos, I will go to Pixabay or Canva and get camping photos to add on to my mock booking. And then you want to add your commission, what you're going to make, into the price that you're using for the mock booking. And then I always put a call of action. Mine's to book text, and then I'll put like camping at the Illinois or Illinois camping, something like that. Just a few words. To Watkins Escapes at, and then I put my phone number. That way it's branded by me, my business, Brandon or Watkins Escapes, and then it has a way for them to reach me and a way for me to know which mock booking they're talking about. So here's one of my Facebook mock bookings I'm done for camping. So I just took, this is actually one of my photos from camping, but the other one is from Pixabay. And then, I said, don't miss out on on all the summer fun. So, and then I have the price. It's each campsite has a set number of people that are allowed. Used to before it wasn't so strict, but they've gotten a lot stricter. So I put how many people it can hold, and then I put which river because I didn't want to put the actual campsite. Did you have a question? Okay. All right. So that's how I do my Facebook mock booking. I have a TikTok. I use this actually for Facebook and Instagram. And then my TikTok one I'm gonna show you, I use for both YouTube and TikTok. Just has different music. Don't know if you guys can hear it. Hold on. It's time to shine, let your spirit unwind. Enjoy your life every day and every So I put some activities in there, a dinner idea, and then my information. And this was on the Mulberry River. I've actually camped there and floated that one. So just a cute little quick video, with some information on a campsite. So how do I qualify my clients? I use the same inquiry form that I use for all my bookings besides my cruises. So I have all of them set for one and then a different one for my cruising. So actually, let me just go to my job forms so that I can kind of show you without having. Because I have it set up where they have to answer the questions to move on. And Log in here. Mhm. There we go. All right. So in my inquiry form down here where I says, what kind of quote are you seeking? I have camping. So, and then if they're wanting to do like a kayak trip or floating, which is rafts instead of kayaks or a canoe, they can click camping and then entertainment and activities. So that lets me know it's camping. So there is a bunch of information you need to know. So I always do a follow up because they don't always tell you the stuff in your, I do have a section that says, preferences, or is there anything I need to know that like that. So, 1 second. So how do I do that? That's on my inquiry form, and the way Jot form has it set up, you can either put multiple choice or singular choice, and I just have it set up as the multiple choice so they can pick which ones they want. And it's just one of the questions in my inquired form. All right. So things you need to know when booking a camping trip for someone is what kind of camping are they doing? That's the biggest one. You have people who will sleep underneath the stars. Some will sleep in a hammock underneath the stars, and underneath the stars is just a, sleeping bag on the ground, basically. And then you got the hammock, like I said, you got tents, which we do a lot of, you got RV, and a big thing that's getting popular now is the glamping. It's kind of like glorified camping. My dad says we rough it. So it's like you have your air conditioner. Some people have TVs, and you can go places that are actually campgrounds for glamping. There's one in Tennessee up in the mountains that got this dome tent, and they have like inflatable beds or beds set up, and they have a TV, and it's just kind of glorified camping without you have all your electronics and your stuff with it. You're welcome. So you also want to keep up with the weather. The weather is a big deal because with the weather, if they're in a tent, they're going to need to know if it's going to be cold, if it's going to be rainy. With the rain, if they're camping by a river, you have to keep in mind how rainy is it going to be and how close to the river are they, because we've camped before and we knew this was going to happen. So we prepared for it because we wanted to be close to the water. But when it rains, the river rises. And a lot of times, some of the campsites are so close to the water that they will flood. And so we had to pack up, not really pack up, but we had to move everything in the middle of the night so that our stuff and we didn't float away with, the river that's up, higher than it normally was. So you want to keep that in mind too. And some people like us are going to be like, we'll be good. But just as travel professionals, you want to have that knowledge to be able to give to your client. Location of the campsite. Like I said, do they want to be by the river? Do they want to have trees for their hammocks or shade? And they want to going to be close to the exit or as far away from people as possible. Are they going to want to be by the bathrooms? That's all things you're going to want to know before you book, and really before you give them quotes so that you can get them the best campsite in the quote. Um, there's things like some places, West Fork in Arkansas, we have this huge campsite area, and they have horse campsites. They have ATV and four-wheeler campsites. They have tent and RV campsites, and then they have what they call what do they call them? But it's basically roughing it. So these campsites are free, and you just go out into the middle of the areas that they have. It's really wooded, and find a place to set up camp, and it's free. So they have all these different kinds of campsites within other campgrounds. This is right up my alley. My husband and I travel in an RV for 6 months out of the year. Yeah, a lot of people, there's actually someone I'm working with that's what they do. They live in RV and they just travel around to different RV campgrounds. And that's, that's basically their home, and they get to she's like insurance or something. So she works from home that allows her to travel and stuff. So it is neat, and you can get on that. And then that's a repeat client right there. Yeah, I went over that. Okay. So when you're looking at your campsite, so you've already got the campground that you're sending them to. And how I pick my campgrounds is I ask them, is there a certain river? Is there a certain mountain range, certain location? And then that's where I start looking for their for the campgrounds. So you have the campsite layout. So if they're gonna have tents, is there a nice flat grassy area for them to pop up tents? Last thing people want is to sleep on a rock, especially if they don't have air mattresses. Is there a place to park and hook up an RV if they're camping in an RV? Does the place have a campfire if they don't have the stoves and other camping essentials that you can buy? Um, is there a spot to build one? Because some campsites might not have them already made, some do, and then some have a place where you can build one. We've been to, both different kinds. A lot of the big campsites, though, will offer, they have a pit set up and they have a table usually too. Shade. This is really important because if your campers don't have a canopy and there's no trees around, they're going to be in the sun constantly at their campsite. So if they don't have a canopy, you want to give them shade. If they're sleeping in hammocks or have hammocks, you want to make sure there's trees to be able to hang up the hammocks. Especially in the summer months, you want to be able to put your camper in a place that has shade. I'm telling you from camping, it's a lot better if you at least have a section that's shade. The worst thing is your tents because they get so hot if they're out in the sun, just like your car. By the water, we kind of went over this. So some people like my family, we love to camp by the water, but you have to keep a close eye on like river levels and how much it's gonna rain. Kind of already went over that. And then your campground layout. And this goes into, are they going to be in the bathroom or close to the bathrooms, far away from people, in the middle? Some campgrounds have playgrounds and stuff like that. So you want to know all that. Biking trails, where you can keep your horses if you bring your horses, if they have ATVs, and stuff like that. You want to make sure they're in a spot for them, because there is sections of campgrounds that don't allow motor vehicles like that. Also, what you want to keep in mind is some campgrounds, especially further out, the roads are going to be rougher. So they're going to need four-wheel drive to get to some campsites. So you're going to want to know all this. And sometimes the maps, when you're booking them, are confusing for the campgrounds. And I'll kind of show you one or a couple. So planning a camping trip, you want to start by finding the campground and then the campsite. Google is your best friend on this. You want to do research on the campsites, and it doesn't hurt to call and ask them because no one's going to know the layout better of the campground than the people running it. Then you want to create your quote and invoice. So I use Square for my professional service fee, or the admin fee, whatever I'm calling it that time. I go back and forth. So this one I charged $20. This was a campsite that it was with me and somebody else, so I have it set up a little bit different. So I charged the admin fee and it's on here. And Square is pretty easy to set up an invoice with. I actually have a Square training on my YouTube. And then my quotes, kind of skipped this one and went straight to Square, but this is what my quote for camping looks like. So I have my normal invoice and I give them different options. These are just different campsites at the same campground. That's why they're just 1 and 2, 3. Then I come down here and this is where all their information is. If they have a campsite, has a website, I post it on here. since I charge the professional fee, I put everything on here because I'm not worried about them going and booking it themselves because they've already paid me. And a lot of times if I do that, then I don't charge a instant commission. This, since there's 2 parties, I put how much they're gonna have to pay. And this is for 1 campsite or 2 campsites, because like I said, some of them, let's see if I have it on here. I don't have it on this one, but I had another one. Some of them restrict how many people you can have in 1 campsite. So, and then, so I did this with each, and these pictures are actually from this, the campground that I used.
I got combat sports from.
So that's how I do that.
Come on.
All right. And then, of course, once you get that done, you're going to book it and then send them a receipt. After they get back, I always send a welcome back review. It's right here. And this kind of is more like a review for me, so that I know like how well I did. I just set this one up. I was using the Google form one. But so this kind of just asks, ask their name, how was their trip? Did I meet expectations? What did you enjoy about your trip? And then I kind of ask them a few things like this. I need to come in here and kind of update it a little bit more. But so I just ask them these questions and ask them to rate their experience with me and if they would refer me to someone else. And then I asked them to leave a short testimonial and then ask them if they took pictures, and if so, if they would like to send them to me so that I can use them. And then of course I let them upload it. And then that way I can post them on my Facebook with the reviews, and stuff like that to promote the travel that I've done. Okay, so let me get out of here for a second and I want to kind of show you my process with this. Get out of some of these tabs, they're bugging me. All right, so I pull up my Google and I've already followed up with my client at this point. I have all my follow-up questions answered that I need to know to be able to book the campsite. And then I come in here and let's say, let's do the mulberry. I've been on it. I've been wanting to go back so bad. Okay. So I think I did. Yeah, I did. All right. So I researched the river, get some information on it so that I know, check the levels because that's a big deal, especially if you're floating it. And then I will, Turner Bend is a good one. For camping and floating. We have our own kayaks. So if they're going and they're wanting to kayak, they're wanting to float, it's going to be extra on top of the campsite. Some campsites, I know one particular in Oklahoma, they will not let you stay unless you're floating and you have to put a float deposit. And when people say floating, sometimes they can be referring to just going down the river. But a lot of times it's in a raft because they're like, oh, I'm kayaking or I'm canoeing if they're using a kayak or a canoe. Rafts are always more, but they hold more people and they're safer, especially for little kids. So if I have someone that's taking kids, I always recommend the raft unless they've been before and they, know what they're doing. So you go down here, do the camping. Says 3 guests, 36 a night, which is not too bad for camping. Some of them can get expensive. And some of them, see here, there's an additional per night and a maximum of, for each extra guest, and a maximum of 3 extra guests. So this campsite only allows you to have 6. So I take that into account too, because in how many people they're going to have camping with them. And then you have your check-in time and checkout time. And then I kind of read over the policies and stuff like that. I will add the amenities into my quote as well. And then as you can see, you get to pick your different campsites. The ones with the more amenities are always a little bit more. I'm just gonna go to this basic one here because this is what me and my family would camp at. We do it to get away from technology and just get out in nature. And then it has your total here, so you add that your quote. And then once you have confirmed with your client that this is the one you want, you check out. These booking portals are a lot like our suppliers. You got to get in there and get to know them. See, single kayak, $65. So you can add that on there. And then you already have their kayaking. You have it added on there already for the total, and they don't have to worry about it once they get to the campsite. Some people like to pay up front. And then if they do have their own equipment, like their own kayaks, like we do, their own canoe, a lot of times they'll just be a shuttle fee. And then, of course, go to checkout. You add their information in, reserve it, and then if it makes you, some of them you can reserve without paying. Others you have to pay up front to reserve the campsite. It just depends on really how busy they are and their protocols. And then if you do pull and pay, get their credit card information, you of course go in and make sure that they have signed the credit card authorizations form before you give them the confirmation number, and then send them a receipt. So it's kind of about the same. There's, you got to get in there and research, and there's different rivers and stuff like that. So let's go back to Google. I can type. It took me to my sheets. All right. Say we're going to do the Illinois River. You can type in Illinois, or hold on, campgrounds near Illinois River, and they'll pop up. And then you can use TripAdvisor. Some of the campgrounds are on TripAdvisor and some of them aren't. So you can go and check them. Illinois River, this is a good one. I've stayed there a few times. But you can go in and, just kind of research each different little campground, see what it has to offer, check out the maps. The last one didn't offer maps. Which was it that we stayed at that had a map? I think it might have been the Mulberry.
I don't understand why these things for 10 pages.
What do you mean? Where at?
God. And it's like, how much person over 10?
I'm gonna go ahead and mute you guys because there is a lot of background noise right now. And then when I go to questions, I can unmute y'all. Sorry. I keep thinking y'all are talking to me. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's the Mulberry. Which was it called though? Mulberry Outdoor. Here we go. Mulberry Adventures Outdoor. Let's see. This one offers RVs. So some will have RVs too. You can rent, or cabins as well. Let's do camping. Trying to get to the map so I can show you, because most campsites, some of them, it's first come first serve. Others will have a map and you can pick it. I'm pretty sure this is one of them. We've stayed at a few this summer, so it's our vehicle. It's loading slow. Okay. This one's not showing it either. Really? I don't know which one it was that had the. Give me just a second, guys. Maybe it was the one in Oklahoma. Have you used anything other than Square? Do you think that Square is the best for processing? I like Square a lot because you can do so much with Square. I have my online store. It's like a website. I have where they can just pay my professional fee. I have my invoices, my client list, everything in it. I really enjoy Square. Before Square, I used Cash App and Venmo, but I really like Square. Okay, I'm sorry, I must have missed it, but did you say about when reserving kayaks, if they are their own kayak, it's that 65 reduced for the transfer fee instead? Each campground has their own transfer fee. Some do it by donations, but the 65 was renting the kayak on that one that we were on. Yeah, there's many different websites that you can use. You just have to get in there and Google them. You're welcome. All right. Let me find this one because this is driving me nuts that I don't know which one had it. Because I've come, let's do Illinois, Oklahoma, because that's where we stayed. I cannot type today. Okay, on Illinois River. There we go. Oh no, huh? Already had that. In Oklahoma. So it does take some time. I get in here and I look around at different ones. Let's do highway 10, I think it is. Okay. Yeah, it is okay. Campgrounds. Eagle Bluff, Diamond Head. Maybe this is one that had them. There's a few that I've come across that will show you the campground and actually let you pick out the campsite. So like this one, I'm glad I went to this one because this was another thing. Some campgrounds will have like a quiet time, like most hotels and stuff like that do, but they'll offer a late night campground, and that's kind of off away from other people, and they don't have a quiet time. So you do want to make sure that if you're booking a late night, that if they do have kids, they don't care about the noise all night long, or if they do have kids, to put them in a family campground. See if I can find this map. Come on. This one's really slow. If you guys have questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat for me and I'll answer them. I don't know if this is going to load or not. Might just be too impatient. That's not working. Let's see. Let's go back. Where is Arrowhead? I think that one was one of them too that actually had one. Arrowhead was right. So this one right here is one of the ones I was telling you guys about. You have to float with them to camp. Let's see. So they have RV, main, camping, and primitive. That's the word I was trying to think of. Primitive. So this is roughing it. This is out in a tent in the woods. A lot of times they don't even have fire pits. Sometimes they will. But a lot of times you don't book these campsites. You just their client goes out and finds a place and camps. They're the cheapest. In some places, like I said in West Fork, they're free. Here we go. Here's a map. So on this one, you have to choose your campsite. Other ones, they'll let you pick when you get there. And then some they give them to, first come, first serve, no matter if you reserved or not. Oh, you're welcome. I really enjoy the floating and the camping too. I've been doing it since I was a little girl. So you see the campsites, and they do get confusing. This one isn't quite as confusing because they actually have a little map down here that tells you what each thing stands for, and then you can see the buildings. There's some that are just like triangles or like they'll have squares that are like the grass areas, and then you might think this is the water. Like some of them could be really confusing. So you do want to take your time and look at them. This over here is the primitive. And since we're not looking at one of those campsites, it won't give us campsite numbers, but the other ones will. And then this is where the campsite is for the regular camping. You can see they've got basketball court, volleyball court that they're by. They're also by the cabins. And where? Oh, and the shower house right here too. So not all of campsites will offer shower houses, but a lot of the bigger ones will, and some of like the state parks do too. And then if we want to look at the primitive campsites, you got these areas here. So, and then of course you got your water. You got not really much shade because this actually shows you the trees and stuff. Some of them won't, or some of them will have like squares for they'll have like numbers and then squares for the tree area and stuff. So this one is actually one of the better ones to follow along with. I wish I could remember what that other one was that I was looking at. Let's see if Diamond Resort has a map so that you guys can. But each one has different fees for their equipment. Mulberry is one of the cheapest around here. That's why I like it so much. Their kayaks are only 20 a piece. Kayaking, the resorts. Oh, they have concerts. Huh? That's pretty neat. I didn't know that. I've passed this going to my mother-in-law's, but we haven't stayed yet. So you got your tent camping, camping with electric, and then full RV hookup. What's the difference is basically the hookup range. So with RVs, you don't just need electric, you need water, and some even offer sewage. Some of the campsites with the RVs, they have a place that's not connected to the campsites that you go kind of, it's usually by the dumpsters and like when you're exiting the campsite, but you can go and you can pump out all your sewage out of your RV and into their, I'm guessing septic tank, but into their stuff. So see if I can find a map. So here's their map. And this one's a lot better than the other one too that I've looked at. They have it labeled really well, but as you can see, they have different areas. They have their main parking. Oh, and speaking of parking, I'm glad I looked at that. So some campsites will only allow one vehicle or two vehicles. If they do only allow one or two vehicles, they'll have a parking spot that all the other vehicles go to, and it will be in there. So you definitely want to read over as much as you can on that campground's website if you haven't used them before. And I still refresh myself. So you got the bathhouse. So some campers like to be by the bathrooms. I don't, because that means more people, more traffic at night. But some people do because they don't want to, have to drive or walk to the bathrooms. We call it exercise. So you got your different maps. Definitely get on there and look at your maps before you do your campsites. All right. That's really all I have. Do you guys have any questions? You can unmute yourselves or throw them in the chat.
Yeah, Harvey was late, so I think he wants you to go over it all again, Haley.
Okay, well, he can
I
look at
wasn't, but so late.
it will be on my YouTube. Let me stop this recording. Thank you guys for joining. And if you do have questions, you can go ahead and stick around. This is my YouTube channel. Do subscribe so you can get access to all of them, all my trainings.